morning and welcome to a new episode of ETRetail Cafe by ETRetail. We are here to make your Monday morning delicious today because we have with us Zorawar Kalra, who is the MD and founder of massive restaurants. Zorawar, a very warm welcome to ETRetail Cafe. I want to start from knowing how your childhood was like because I'm aware your dad was also a restaurateur. So how did you grow up? How was it different from others?
Firstly, thanks, Charu. We've known each other for a long time. A lot of professional regard. So great to be speaking with you on the wonderful ETRetail Cafe. Uh, Growing up in Jigs Kalra's house was an incredibly fun experience. Imagine that at the age of 5, I was exposed to incredible foods, concepts that till today are not very common. And I got the opportunity with him to travel every year to a unique destination, mostly internationally, where we got to try some great food. He made it a point that he wanted to expose our palate to different flavors. So much so that at the age of, I think I must have been 7 or 8, I don't know, it was definitely in the single digits, where I must have had my first taste of caviar or my first taste of really high quality imported cheese. Or he made us a fool by making us try an anchovy, which is a very hard, high salt item, a very acquired taste, so to speak. But he made us try it by hiding it in cream cheese and putting it on a piece of bread. The breads to our house used to come from, little proper loaves of bread used to come, and he used to have this wonderful electric slicer. And his therapy in the evenings used to be using his electric slicer and actually cut slices on the loaf of bread, which at that time was fairly rare and was therapy for him. So he was so precise that every slice was almost the same. So I mean, he was growing up with him was the honor of my life, and because of him, I got a kind of developed a love and passion for this line of work, which of course now I've chosen as my primary form of occupation. In fact, I have only one form of occupation since the time I ever finished my business school. I've done nothing else, and actually, I don't think I know anything else either. So yeah, just his exposure, his joie de vivre, his sense of responsibility towards Indian food. I also know that you can't instill anything into a child. Yeah. You can harbor the development of that interest. So I always had the interest. I was in awe of my father, as most sons are, and I saw his great lifestyle, the kind of work he was doing, and I felt that he was doing really good work because he was genuinely putting Indian food on the global palate. So that sense of responsibility that he had towards Indian food was infectious. He used to talk about it all the time. And just growing up in that household was the building blocks of my whole life ahead, as is always the case in good, wholesome childhoods. And I think he gave me me and my brother an extraordinary childhood.
So there were certain things which were like a dream of for certain people. Certain people were not even aware of things like caviar at that point of time, maybe. I mean, you were exposed to it at the right point of time then.
Oh, not only a right time, I think I was exposed to it earlier than needed, but it was great. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. And the trips that we used to do around the world. I remember in 1993, I must have been in 10th standard, I think. Yeah, 10th standard, yeah, boards. Yeah. And we were waiting the summer holidays, and then the board results come in the middle of the summer holidays. My father was more anxious than me about my results. I didn't care because at 10, we were more interested in this wonderful holiday. The holiday was about 8 to 10 bed and breakfasts across Scotland and Wales.
Oh, nice.
Every night, one hotel, bed and breakfast, not even a hotel. Yeah. Try the food, see the culture. And he was doing a story as a journalist for, I think it was, I don't know which newspaper, I think it was the BBC. And it was a story where he was supposed to, from an Indian perspective, cover bed and breakfasts to kind of promote tourism in Scotland and Wales from India. At that time, India was a very small market, not a behemoth powerhouse that it is today. But it was so much fun. I mean, I got to try farm to fork food at the age of, I think I was 16 or 15. I don't know. Let me do the math on this. So yeah, I was actually 15. And he got me to try this, me and my brother, and he was 13 at that time. And we had this incredible experience where the freshest of fresh food, literally growing in the backyard, was served to us. And we had one such experience a year for many, many years. And I think that was also a building block. So he gave us the right exposure at the right time, I think. But more importantly, harbored the passion for food that me and my brother share so vehemently even today.
So, I mean, the passion that he instilled in you actually inclined you towards to become a restaurateur, or did he push you to become a restaurateur because he was one?
No, he pushed me away from it. Because you see, he was a wonderful professional. He was not really a restaurant owner. He used to build these incredible concepts. He had his own business. He was an entrepreneur. He had this consulting business where he used to work with hotels and restaurants to create great concepts, but he would not want to run them. He was, I think, a little tepid about running his own business at that. He was he was not as big a risk taker perhaps. And I think entrepreneurship is also kind of natural in people. I don't think he had the full bite of the entrepreneurship bug uh, in him yet. But he kind of always wanted me to do well. He wanted me to study first and foremost. He paid for a great education of mine in the US. I did my MBA in Boston at the Bentley University. And so he was always a supporter, but he wanted me to be a wholesome person. He definitely didn't want me to set up a consulting business, but he would always have been in favor of me running a restaurant business. And I always used to think he's built these phenomenal restaurants, but I don't own them. My father's built them, but he's built them for others, and they're doing really well with them, and I don't own them. And that was kind of like a pain point for me. And Bukhara, Dampukt, great kebab factory. I mean, there was a time in the 90s where out of the top 10 performing restaurants in India, 5 or 6 were done by one man.
Wow.
So that kind of I felt, we should own these.
Yeah.
So that was a pain point, and I think that also kind of pushed me towards doing the MBA to arm myself with the knowledge to be able to come back to India and build a business of scale. That was always the goal. And I kind of accelerated that process because my father was not well. He had a debilitating stroke in 2000 in November, just before I had to go overseas for my study. And he got paralyzed. So from being India's first or second most frequent flyer, he was on entire bed rest for a majority of the next 19 years that he survived. So he's still in that debilitating form, survived for 19 years. Great medical care, but most importantly, his own joie de vivre, his will to live. Because there's no way a person with that kind of a high intensity life to be completely dormant. Like overnight, you become dormant. You don't know if you're gonna ever walk again. He was very upset about not being able to tie his own turban because the left arm, was paralyzed. So he couldn't use his left arm. So he couldn't tie a turban, and he used to cry about it. And he was a very tough man. To see him cry would shatter anybody. So it was he was just an incredible person. I look up to him in every facet and aspect of life. He was an incredible father, great husband, and an even better son. He was so good to his parents. And I remember in the 80s, or mid 80s, I don't know when, maybe mid 80s, when the air conditioner first came about in Delhi in a major way, because Delhi summers were brutal. Yeah. The first AC was installed in my Dada and Dadi's room. And before he got his own. And then he eventually loved it so much that he got installed for all of us. But I still remember that this is the kind of person that he was. And he was a very honorable person who genuinely cared about Indian food. He was deeply upset that people did not give Indian food the just credit that it deserved. And he literally devoted his life to recording, propagating, and proliferating Indian cuisine through his efforts, putting it through food festivals around the world, and just documenting it. Because the biggest problem was we never documented our food.
Yeah. But Zorawar, tell me, when he never wanted you to be a part of this industry, how it happened to you?
No, he did not. He did not want me to not be a part of it. He wanted me to find my own voice. He was never against it. He loved the industry. It was just that he said, don't become a consultant. Okay. Do something of your own. It kind of pushed me in that regard. But he didn't realize that was anything what I was going to do. I was never going to be a consultant and build great concepts and put my heart and soul into something that I don't even own myself. Yeah. So for me, the greed is not for money at all. The greed is two things. One is to take his legacy forward and put Indian food on the global palette permanently. And the second is I love having great intellectual properties that I can call my own. It's just an innate desire that I've had since I was a child, especially, I guess, propagated even further because of the fact that he built these great brands that I didn't own. So a combination of these things perhaps made me an entrepreneur.
So 2005, when you started your journey as a restaurateur, as an entrepreneur, 3 learnings that you took from your dad and applied to your business at that point of time.
There are so many, but I'll try and choose the top 3. So I started off with a brand called Punjab Grill and Street Foods of India. Both started off totally bootstrapped with my own money that I'd scrounged around, taken from inheritance left by my grandfather. Not a lot of money, but whatever I had, I put everything into the business. And I opened these food court stores, little outlets, but quite a few of them in Delhi, in the NCR, even as far as Indrapuram, and in Lucknow. And I grew too quickly. I did not have the funds or the back end, despite having an MBA degree. I did not build a very robust accounting back end to be able to manage this. I was just growing like crazy, like a maverick space. And it grew to a good size. I was doing well, Obviously, eventually Punjab Grill became a full fine dining concept, and we shut the ones in the food courts. And then we tied up with Amit Burman and Rohit Agarwal of Dabur and Light Bite Foods to kind of become my partners. And Pawan Gandok, who was the guy who introduced us. Great story. We started off, with these food court outlets that then became in 2007. I think I opened the first one in Ambience. It became a mega hit from day one. It had the Jigs Kalra name below it. That gave us impetus. And I still remember in 2008 when there was the big worldwide economic slump, like almost like a depression, right? 2008 was bad. And a story came out in a newspaper, maybe it was yours, which it showed a packed Punjab grill, and the headline said, "Where's the slump?" Question mark. And I felt really proud that are we bucking the trend? And it was actually real good perseverance. Focus. You asked me for three things. The number one thing my father said is focus on the food, focus on the product, just focus on the roti and the taste. And if you can just focus on the food, the restaurant is gonna work on its own. Doesn't matter how good it looks. It doesn't matter the levels of service you can provide. It's very important. All these things are important. But the number one thing for a restaurant, especially in 2008, when there was no social media, when people were still craving really high quality restaurant food outside of hotels, I think Punjab Grill kind of rode that wave. And we focused on great food, we focused on really hospitable service, and we focused on nice looking restaurants with good air conditioning. People don't understand the importance of air conditioning. It's super important. If you're not comfortable, even great food will taste bad. So putting Indian food on the global palette was the second thing. So food, focus on the product and forget everything else. Number one priority. Don't forget everything else. Put everything else on second and third priority. Prioritize. And then he said, just have this sense of, which he did not really say in words, but he kind of through his actions showed it to me, and then I kind of imbibed that into my psyche, is have this sense of focus that goes beyond running a business or making money. Have a deeper sense of motivation that gets you out of bed every morning. And for me, that is this innate love that I have for my culture, for my country, for our cuisine, for our heritage. The best way to promote your culture is through your food. And I think Indian food is the greatest cuisine on this planet. It has a culinary depth, sophistication, and variety second to none. We have more vegetarian food in just the states of Rajasthan and Gujarat than the rest of the planet put together. We have a variety that is completely unparalleled. We have a philosophy that is deeply rooted in Ayurveda, science, and physics and chemistry and a lot of things. We're a highly scientific race of people. We were the most dominant culture in the world for 1500 of the past 2000 years. And we somehow forgot that because of colonialism. But now we're under self-rule. And I think this sense of responsibility towards Indian food he gave me. And I'm very proud that he gave it to me because I now have a reason larger than myself or larger than my business to kind of push me. And that's the wind beneath our wings. That sense of obligation, that sense of responsibility towards our Indian food. I mean, it's up to us to do it. Nobody else will. No other countryman is going to come and promote our culture. We have to do it. And we're the most ancient culture in the history of the human race. So we should propagate that through our food. My job is to do it through its food. I know Karan Johar and all are doing it through media. Other people are doing it through music. I'm doing it through food. And that's what my restricted spectrum is. And I'm going to try and do the best. I can't wait for the day when you go to any part of the world and one of the top 3 destinations in all the major cities includes one Indian restaurant. And I want to play my little part towards that. And it gives me goosebumps even now when I say this. But I really want Indian food to be represented at the top of the totem pole of the world's cuisines because it deserves that place and it needs to be there.
So my next question to you is, learnings you have talked about, but challenges must have been there. I mean, 2005 challenges must have been different as compared to now. So what were the challenges at that point of time and what are challenges now?
In the restaurant business, challenges are as certain as taxes. Challenges and taxes are always going to follow a person in the F&B industry. It's a very challenging industry, but it's also very rewarding. I love it. So I'm going to give some numbers that might sound morbid, and they are real. However, they should not detract people who are watching the show from getting into this deeply rewarding and exciting industry. So unfortunately, the restaurant industry has the highest failure rate of any industry in the world. About 90% of all restaurants shut down within the first 12 months, and about 96% within 18 or 24 months. And the primary reason is undercapitalization. People think, and people considering the restaurant as an extension of their drawing room, never get into the restaurant business for glamour reasons. There's no glamour, there's no fun in working on Saturdays and Sundays when everybody else is chilling. There's no fun in staying up till 2 a.m. looking at your sales reports, and if it's a bad one, your night is ruined. So, you have to be very clear why you're getting into this business. It's a passion play. It's a lifestyle choice. It's not a 9 to 5. Post 5 o'clock, your business really begins. So it is something that you should get in for the right reasons. High failure rates are there because of undercapitalization, because of low barriers to entry, and then people getting in it for the wrong reasons and all of that kind of stuff. But if you can sustain, and if you've found a gap in the market and you're going to plug that gap through a great quality product, and you're going to do your market research and analysis and not just jump in eyes shut, although that's what entrepreneurs do. They jump off a cliff and build a plane on the way down, which is what I actually did myself. I had no idea how I'm going to fund this stuff. I just opened these restaurants and rather food court outlets all over the north of India without any kind of backing, without even a proper accounting department. So I did all of that. Those are the mistakes I would not suggest anybody else do. But the challenges at that time used to be, real estate. There was not enough organized real estate. So there were not many places I could open. I could open in small malls, small markets like Sector 18 in Noida, but suddenly a mall would come and that market would become obsolete. So it was a challenging time from that perspective. Manpower is a problem that is common then and now, high quality manpower. At that time, there were fewer restaurants, so you could retain your people for a little bit longer. Now there's so much competition that people are jumping ship fairly quickly. So attrition has become a huge problem for the industry. Occupancy costs at that time were high and it remained high. I think in India there's a misconception in the minds of the landlords and mall owners that we have first world sales. We have first world rentals. We don't have first world sales. My rental in Connaught Place, for example, or other parts of the country are as high as my rental in England, where I make money in pounds. So now we have restaurants in the UK, US, Canada, Middle East, and I'm telling you, my rental per square foot is comparable to these countries. Whereas the money being made is significantly more simply on the basis of the currency trading rates. So I think, have to kind of, as a body also at the NRA, I have to send some kind of workshops with landlords to rationalize this, because that's one big challenge that was then and it is now. And apart from that, I think social media was a weapon we could not wield at that time, but it was a purer time. It was a cleaner time. Yeah. Journalists like yourself would come and write about your restaurant. If they liked it, they'd write something good. I know we used to be all very afraid of Ma'am Sabina Sekia. She was a very close friend of my dad's, but she could be a ruthless writer. She worked for your newspaper. And my father, in fact, unfortunately, the time she died, her book, The Times of India Food Guide, was ready. And my father wrote the foreword for her because he knew her the best. So we wrote a whole essay. He wrote a whole essay on her, and that was the front page of your book, giving homage to her incredible effort that built that book. So she was one of those people, for example, who knew her food. And when she wrote about it and gave you a 4 or 5 star, your restaurant was made. You would have lines out the door. Today, social media has taken up that space, and unfortunately, real journalists that write about food are not as relevant anymore. And it's unfortunate because the people that really know about their food, are not getting the ears of the public the way they used to. So there was no social media. There was no Facebook. I think there was Facebook. But it's very small in India at that time, and was not wielded as a medium the way Instagram perhaps is used today. So it was a simpler time, but we did not have access. Do I miss those times? Yes. Do I think they were easier times, perhaps, from spreading your word? Probably yes. But the kind of free marketing you get from social media today is also incredible. And I think it's a weapon it's a sword that cuts both ways. So there are positives and negatives, but we like to see the positive in things. So we like the fact that social media is a weapon that you can use today and you couldn't use at that time. So perhaps that was a challenge from that time's perspective. And today, the challenge is, again, just to kind of gist up the whole thing, will always be around real estate costs and availability of good real estate. It'll be around manpower, attrition, and that kind of stuff. Everything else is really good. I would just suggest to people that make sure you're not undercapitalized when you venture into the restaurant space, because it can be very, very brutal.
So you recently said sleepless nights for the restaurateurs. Recently, have you had any sleepless nights just because of the business?
I'm a naturally anxious person regarding my business. I'm a person who responds very well under pressure. I don't fall under pressure usually the way perhaps some people do, and I find that that's a strength for me. But anxiety is something that kind of follows all entrepreneurs. When the responsibility of thousands of employees is on your shoulders and you have to pay them salary every month, that's a big responsibility. And it's a responsibility I take very seriously, because if I were to stay awake, it would be because I not just let myself down, I don't want to leave those thousands of people down. So that's, I guess, something that kind of is always in the back of my mind. So from the day I started my business was perhaps the first day that I opened the doors to the first Punjab Grill in Metropolitan Mall in Gurgaon, in the food court upstairs where I took 3-4 shops, was the last day. The first day that I opened the restaurant was the last day that I slept peacefully. Since that day, it's been 20 years. I'm telling you, I've never had that level of sleep. I used to live for myself. I used to go to the gym twice a day, sometimes twice a day, and nothing else to do. I've not gone to the gym since that day. I don't live for myself. I live for my business because the business is like a child. And that child has a family, and that family has to be taken care of, which is our associates. And you have to take care of that business like the way you would. I was not even married, but I still had a child, and that was my business. And that's, I think, the life of an entrepreneur. So anxiety is there in everyone, even people who have typically a low stress job would still have anxiety. You have to manage it, and you have to perhaps utilize the pressure in a positive way, as an impetus, as a fuel, rather than as an impediment or a roadblock.
So, Zorawar, it seems like you are very passionate and you love your staff and everyone who is working at the restaurant that you are running. So, what 3 qualities you look into them when you choose them to hire them to be a part of your family?
It's a old adage that says it's easier to build competence than it is to build culture. The first thing I look at any person we're trying to hire is, will they fit within our culture? Whatever that culture is. My culture could be slightly more sales focused, slightly more innovation focused. Others could be, oh, you know what, let's take it easy, but let's build a really great experience for our teammates and for our customers. So whatever the culture of your organization is, you must somehow, especially when I hire direct reports, I look at whether they'll fit in within this culture of ours. Because you can't change the culture that's been built over a decade. In my case, massive restaurants. I started in 2013, the first restaurant opened. So we're about 12 years old now. This new company, my business is now 20 years old since I got into it. But you have to see whether or not that person will fit within the culture. So that's number one. If they're a complete mismatch for the culture, don't even bother. They could be the most brilliant man or woman in this world. But if they don't fit within your culture, they will not succeed, not because of their inadequacies, perhaps because of a mismatch of vision or thought process. The second thing is attitude. And I'm telling you, the attitude of a human is arguably the best indicator of that man or woman's future success than anything else. Not their pedigree, not where they grew up, not which school they went to, not which college they studied in, not which degree they've got. It's their attitude towards life in general and towards their work. So, and that's a very hard thing to gauge, because people always show their best in an interview. It's very hard to guess, and I've been wrong many, many times. And I'm lucky to have been right many times. So, but I think it's a 50-50. I'm not as good a judge of character as I think I am. So I have a 50-50 rate. There have been some great hires and some not so great ones. And attitude of a person is essential, because if they have the right attitude, they can learn and they can perform better than a more competent person. But a very competent person with poor attitude will always bring the team down. So attitude would be the second most important thing. And the third thing would be, how driven are they? And again, something everybody will say, oh, yeah, of course, I'm happy to never go to home. I'm happy to stay away from family. And I'm like, don't do that, because you'll burn out. You have to have a balance. But are you driven enough to take your team forward? And are you an A player? If you're an A player, we want you in our team. If you're a B player, we're going to think 100 times. And unless we have no other option, we won't hire you.
So, we're talking so much about your life, about how your journey, career journey. I want to understand one decision that you took, and it was like a turning point of your life. One was you're entering the industry for sure. Which was the other one which you took and you was like, yeah, I got to learn a lot from this. It was a turning point. It shouldn't have happened, or should it happen for good or bad, howsoever you want to take it?
There are two. It's a very common saying that the most important decision you'll ever make in your life is the person you're going to marry. I'm very lucky to have the most incredible life partner in my wife, Dildeep. She is also a major contributor to my business. She works right now. She's on a tour across West Delhi, Central Delhi, and Noida, right now as we speak. And she left at about, I think, 11 a.m. to go and visit our cloud kitchens and restaurants in that area. Right now she's doing that while I'm sitting with you in an air-conditioned environment. And choosing the right life partner can perhaps be the most important decision you'll ever make in your life. Because that's the person with whom your kids are born. That's how your legacy of your family is taken forward. So actually, it's life's most important decision. There can be nothing more important than that. So marrying her and her drive, she came from a very sheltered home, but she literally, in my bootstrap years, would visit banks in the morning to make sure that the checks got cleared. She would literally, checks were issued, no money in the bank. she would literally go to the bank and beg the guy that do not let this check, don't say lack of funds as the reason why this check is bouncing. And obviously it didn't work very many times because the bank has got to do his job. But the few times that she was able to convince them was a big shot in the arm for her. So that, I'm just telling you, she's been through that with me. So she's been through the lows and she's been through the highs. And running a bootstrap company without a proper accounting department is the problem. First thing we did was get a really robust account. We had more accounting department people at one point in time, even in my bootstrap years, than we had chefs in the kitchen.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to make those mistakes. I didn't want my wife to have wake up at 9 a.m. and be at a bank to trying to make sure the checks don't bounce. So this is in 2006 I got married. So this must be 2006-07 before I started Punjab Grill with the funded organization, all that. So those 1.5 odd years were not that easy for us. But they were great building blocks because true entrepreneurship, bootstrapped entrepreneurship is what we've been through. Been through literally the lowest level. I've gone in the morning and actually put newspaper pamphlets in newspapers in the morning at 5 a.m. I've monitored it. There was an agency that used to do it for us, but we want to make sure that, hey, listen, I'm paying you 30,000 rupees. I hope you're doing this. Please put this at 1 rupee a newspaper. Put this in every newspaper. So that's the kind of stuff we've done. So that's one decision. And the second was, I guess, when I sold Punjab Grill in 2012. Very difficult for me to do. It was my first business. But I thought it's time for me to move on, to build a company that I owned fully. In that company, I was a 45%. I used to own 100%. Then, Lightbite came about. Great partners to have. They still remain incredibly close friends. And I'm very happy for the success of Punjab Grill even today once I've sold it. So that was, I think, the second major decision that kind of paved my future. Otherwise, I would still be opening. I would have probably had 150 Punjab Grills by now, but I would only have had Punjab Grill. I would still be a 45% shareholder, not even a 50% one. And maybe that's the reason I and there was a very amicable breakup and we exited. And so I think that was the second one, the marriage and that exit that I did. And I'm very proud to say that I'm one of the very few people who had a successful exit in the F&B space.
How difficult was it for you to adopt the technology at your restaurants and bring the technological changes which the consumers are looking forward to today?
I'm a nerd. I'm a complete geek in the true sense of that word. I'm a gadget freak. I am a tech nerd. I've been using AI since before it became a buzzword. We use it every day. I probably use it 5 times since the morning. I'm a very tech savvy person myself. And I've been a geek and a video game player and a computer. I build my own computers. I got 2 of the fastest computers in the country, one in my office and one in my house as we speak. I built it from all the best parts and I built it myself, literally hand screwed everything. So, and I'm a lover of technology. So for us, it's never been a challenge because I enjoy it. You see, whatever you enjoy and you think you're good at, you'll probably be good at it. Yeah. So the team is very, very tech focused. We use a lot of tech. We are, I would like to say, we're at the forefront of technology in many cases. We were also going to be on the web sphere in terms of, we were one of the first people to have Instagram handles. We were engaging very actively on Facebook with our customers. A lot of AI is being used currently. Auto indent has started. Now we're using AI to auto indent. So requisition of materials from kitchens, cloud kitchens, as well as restaurants is now auto. Obviously, it's viewed by a human being at the end, but it's auto-indented. Earlier, the chef used to take 45 minutes a day in the middle of a busy restaurant to put in orders for the next day. So that's now auto. We use a lot of AI in the form of Mid-Journey, in the form of Chroma, in the form of another 3-4 brands that we're using to make marketing content. We have enterprise level access to ChatGPT. We use it for a lot of stuff. I even sometimes use it to come up with business plans, and it's very, very good. And data, I literally have Siri and ChatGPT activated on my phone, and it is, so I literally always tell, hey Siri, use ChatGPT to XYZ, and it's, so technology is the ultimate tool. You have to use it. You have to use it for CRM. You have to use it for reservations. You have to use it for loyalty management. You have to use it for backend ERM. You have to seriously use it for auto indent, material management. HR, our entire HR system is fully automated. In fact, even if my direct report needs an off on a weekend, for example, you can't just take an off on a weekend. You'll have to first get a you can take it off. Yeah. It's just that, there'll be HR policies in play there. So even though our entire HR system is biometric, it's automated. We use a system called Zimeo, using it for many years. The HRMS system that we were using earlier was also good enough, but not as good as this. So the full technology stack required to run a restaurant as fluently as possible, we're utilizing in every way. And we've been using it for many, many years.
So haven't you ever feared technology might take up your job? I mean, you'll be relentless or maybe useless ever in life?
I don't, because I'm the entrepreneur. My job can never go anywhere. I'll tell you for a fact. Unfortunately, it's a fact. Let's be very clear. Okay, I'm going to give a little spiel because I've studied this a lot and I've heard a lot of smart people talk about it and I've read a lot of articles on this. Uh, this is the biggest game-changing, paradigm-shifting technology that the human race has ever invented. This is the only thing that is actually a substitute for humans. Everything else was a complementary aspect to human beings and human life. Aircrafts, space travel, computers, everything was accentuating the use of human, not replacing. AI is without a doubt going to take away a lot of jobs. And I don't want to even get into numbers, but I'm telling you, there will be 20, 30 years from now, a lot of jobs that would be extinct, entirely wiped off the face of this earth because of incredible AI. But we have to harness it. And the way I think humans being at that time will survive, will they do a lot of creative stuff, a lot of creative work. Arts will, a lot of people will become artists, which they don't have the opportunity to right now. We'll still create great music, although the art aspect is being conducted very well by many of these AI models. They're doing a damn good job of coming up with really creative stuff. And I think there'll be the requirement of a universal basic income because people won't have a job. So you're creating humans, they're being born, coming into the world, but they don't have a job. Imagine coding, which is through which AI was built, is the first job that AI will replace.
True.
There will be no requirement of any coders because you're going to pay a coder $200,000 a year. It's going to take 6 months to build a program, a code, a software or an application, and AI can do it for you in 10 seconds. Now you tell me which business owner is going to pay 200,000, so $100,000 have been spent to build one product where you did it in $20 of $100, $1,000. So unfortunately, it is going to take away the jobs. The creative aspect of humans will never go away. We'll create things. That's what we do. We are a naturally innovative species. That's why we survived. That's why we're going to be a multi-planetary species through the work of these space tycoons. And I'm not afraid my job will ever go because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to figure out the next thing to do. But a lot of jobs will go. I don't think a chef's job will go from a creative aspect. I don't think without tasting, AI can ever create food, although I've read articles that are contradictory to this thought of mine. But definitely robots will be making the food in the kitchen, in the QSRs especially. That can happen today. That's happening today. I've been approached by an agency, an Indian-owned agency in San Francisco, that has approached me to automate one of my restaurants in the US. And I said no, because I want to have that human hand in, that little human soul, that DNA of the human being has to be there in the creative process. And we want that little inconsistency. We don't want a robotic system, although that's possible even today. So yeah, I'm not afraid of my job, but I'm afraid for my associates' jobs. The marketing department is the first thing. I hate to say this. The marketing department is the first thing that will become redundant. Actors, AI will just make an entire movie using your face, using your voice, using everything. Actors, the most creative of things. Music, it can create music. Again, music and food making are two things I think humans will always be best at. But I don't think much else. You can't. We built it. It's our own creation. Now let's hope we can keep it under control.
So you have a presence in, say, I mean, QSRs you have run restaurants, fine dine restaurants, you have been a part of cafes and cloud kitchen also. So what do you think is the best format which is going to survive in the future and why?
No, restaurants and bars and clubs will always be the final bastion of hope for human offline social engagement. They will never go away. Not now, not 1,000 years from now, not in 10,000 years from now, if we're in 20 different galaxies. Will restaurants, clubs, or bars ever go away? Because humans are social. What are single people going to go and do? Where are they going to meet new people? Where are they going to make friends? Where are you going to go with your family to celebrate your parents' golden jubilee? You're going to go to a restaurant. You're going to go and spend time with your family. You can't do it at home all the time. You can't keep ordering in food, but delivery is going to keep getting bigger. So we expect delivery to replace kitchens at home, and we want restaurants to be always the place where people congregate. Humans are social animals. We'll always do this. We'll never change. And I'm very happy that I'm in a business that is forever. There's one business I can tell you, humans will always spend on eating out more than any other form of entertainment. They will always enjoy those social engagements more than they would enjoy even watching a movie or buying a beautiful piece of clothing or a great shoe. Indians especially spend more on eating out than any other form of entertainment. We're already 40, 45 times larger than Bollywood. Always were. We are the second largest employer of humans in India after agriculture. We contribute between 2 and 3% to this country's GDP. And eating out will always be the number one form of entertainment. It's the only thing you can do 3 times a day for the rest of your life, and you will never get bored. I can't think of a single. God gave us this and one more thing as the most basic things humans enjoy and love and will always love, whether we're on this planet, whether we're in the dark ages, whether we're in medieval times, or we're in 3030.
Where do you see the future of massive restaurants then going ahead?
I'm very excited about our future. I think we're the one company that is able to transcend the digital and physical world and kind of juxtapose them. So we pride ourselves on running some great offline concepts. Farzi Cafe, Papaya, Masala Library, Bowtie, Swan, so many restaurants, brands we run. And they are instruments of joy for us. They are matters of pride for us. Farzi Cafe is now in 7, 8 countries. We're in the US. We're opening in New York this week. On the 15th of May is our official launch of Farzi New York. A beautiful location, already creating a buzz. We're in Seattle, we're in Canada, we're in the Middle East, we're in Bangladesh, we're in all over India in 20 cities, 18 cities. And we are extremely proud of our offline restaurants. But we've also developed this love for the online world, where now our brands such as Louis Burger, Nashville Fried Chicken, and Slice Pizza, and some new ones in the works, which I can't talk about now, but we'll be launching soon, are going to be, are again instruments of joy and pride for us, because we've tried to create a restaurant quality, high quality gourmet experience delivered to people's homes. And I think that's what's the beauty of massive restaurants. This really enthusiastic team of young people. I'm the oldest man in this company. I'm the oldest man or woman in this company. I'm the oldest human in this company. And I like that. Even my CFO is younger than me. And we are a bunch of people that love innovating, doing new things. It's what gets us out of bed every morning. It's that extra spring in our step. We get jaded very quickly. We get bored very easily, which is not good from a business perspective, because we have a different set of people doing the rudimentary stuff and a different set of boffins that are working on the creative R&D kind of stuff. And we expect to be a true Indian multinational food conglomerate that has presence in dozens of countries around the world, with the major focus of putting Indian food on the global palate permanently through both our offline and online brands. We expect to take Louis Burger international very, very soon, because I think it's a great product and I'm very proud of it. Our restaurants are already in multiple countries. Masala Library is already in Doha, in the world's most expensive hotel in Lusail in Qatar. And we are now looking at opening another new brand in London, in England. And we're very excited about the future. We are lucky to have some great people work with us. If they stick by my side, I think we'll be able to create some really cool stuff in the future and take Indian food to where it deserves to be.
Yeah, it seems like, Zorawar, you have a very wonderful future ahead, and I wish you all the best for the same. But before we wrap it up, I would love to have a rapid fire with you, where I'll be firing the questions at you and I expect response within seconds. So my first question to you is, one restaurateur or one restaurant that you admire a lot, and why?
Danny Meyer in the UK, I think he's a trendsetter. I think he's the most forward-looking restaurateur, entrepreneur I've ever seen. I haven't met him. I would love to meet him now that I'm opening in New York, and he's the king of New York. So Gramercy Tavern is a restaurant I've visited many, many times. And I'm also like him a lot because of the fact that he built one of the world's best burger chains, which is now in many countries worth billions of dollars, Shake Shack. So he's a restaurateur that I love the most. And if I were to talk about a single restaurant, very hard to pinpoint, but I think this is the one that comes to top of mind right now, Nagarjuna in Bangalore. It's Andhra food. It is the most incredible regional food I've ever had in my life. And that's one restaurant that I just can't, if you were to ask me one, I would say that, but there are many. It's very hard to choose. The second, third, fourth, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 are all very close to it, but it pops in my head first.
So you have been a restaurateur. If not in the restaurant industry, what you would have been doing?
I would have been a race car driver. It's the one thing I just love speed. I've had this desire, need for speed since I was a child, I guess. Even when I got my first car, which was, I remember, a red Maruti Zen. My father had bought me when I was a teenager, just before I went to college or something. And I was of legal age, so I was definitely over 18 when he got this car for me. And I think since that day, I have a good time around the Buddh circuit. In one of my cars, I've been able to touch a time of 2 minutes and 11 seconds, which is not bad around the Buddh circuit. And yeah, so if it not have been a restaurateur, it would have still been a high adrenaline kind of a role, such as a race car driver. I don't think I would have been good at anything else.
So you have online restaurants, you have offline restaurants. Where do you order from? Where do you prefer to eat?
You know, I order in, my house orders in Louis Burger at least once in 2 days. And I've now told them, listen, please, when you're ordering food, do a mystery audit. So actually order it from Swiggy and Zomato. Don't call the chef, and give me a report on it. And my kids just love Louis Burger and Nashville fried chicken a lot. Secondly, what my daughter really loves is sushi from Papaya. So out of my own restaurants, I would say that these are two things that my kids love. If you ask me personally, Made in Punjab in Noida is that kind of, really robust Punjabi food that I really crave. If there's one thing I could eat for the rest of my life every single day, it would be North Indian food.
Oh. So tell me one thing. You told me that you read a lot. One business book that you have read and what you learned from that?
I'll name two. One is Business at the Speed of Thought by Bill Gates. That's a book that I just love the context of. So it's a beautiful book. I can get into a whole 1 hour conversation with you on that, so I won't do that. But that was the first business book that I read because I was in awe in the earlier years of Bill Gates. I don't know if I'm in that much awe anymore, but I was at that time. That book is just transcendental for a budding entrepreneur. I love the premise of that book. And the second would be Behind the Arches. I'm forgetting the author's name, but it's a book on Ray Kroc, how he built McDonald's. I've read that book 2.5 times. So I've read cover to cover, and once I've read only half. And that book was so inspiring. Even now that I see it, I read it, I think about it, I get goosebumps because what he built the greatest food services organization in the world, and his whole journey was just incredible. So I've seen the movie The Founder maybe 10 times, and I've seen The Social Network on the building of Facebook at least 5-6 times. And I like watching autobiographies or biographies, reading autobiographies and watching biographies because I think they are inspirational.
So, Zorawar, people know that you are son of Jix Kalra, you are running the show at massive restaurants, but they don't know what do you do in your free time. So, what is your favorite pastime?
I'm telling you, I'm a geek. I build computers. Literally, I build computers. I tinker with them. I do benchmarking. There was a time when I had the time and I could do liquid cooling. I used to actually use liquid cooling to build top benchmarks. And in the top 10 of the world fastest computers, my computers would show up on an international website. 3D Mark. Yeah, it was a 3D Mark benchmark website. And I don't do that anymore because it requires too much effort and I've damaged too many chips. While doing this, I've dropped liquid cooling on my hands, liquid nitrogen on my hands. Now liquid nitrogen is banned, so I can't even do it anyway. But it's that's one thing. I used to play a lot of golf. My daughter is now a champion golfer. She's 11, and she's won about 5-7 tournaments where she's become first place, gold, and she's won about several more where she's won second or third. So she is a budding sports person, and I'm really, really proud of her. I used to play golf. I don't do it anymore. But just generally spending time with my kids and computers. I think these are two things that I do in my pastime. It used to be a lot of racing of cars. In the past few years, I've not been to the circuit, so I think I'm getting older. Maybe I don't have the reflexes of a 25-year-old, so I don't want to have bad times and ruin my mood. So but I'm going to start taking up golf again.
So my last question to you is, when we have seen that the new age entrepreneurs, they are picking up the money from the industry and they're building their businesses. And we have seen people like you who built it bootstrapped and then took it ahead. Right, that was the way you started following it. Which is the right way according to you and why?
There's no right or wrong way. I'm a big proponent of raising money, raising capital in private equity and venture capital. You must do that if you want to become of scale, especially if you don't have the funds. I would always say that do it at a time when you've achieved some form of scale. If you do it completely startup, the VC or the PE will take away a very large chunk of your business and you'll never feel like a true owner of that business because you'll suddenly be down to 50%. First round, second round, you're down 30, third round, you're down to 10. You have 10% of a business. You're the founder, you're the person who built it, but you have 10%. I don't know, unless it's a multi-billion-dollar company like Zomato. I mean, I don't think you'll be happy with 10% of a non-listed entity that is still trying to grow. So I would tell all entrepreneurs watching this to be careful at the valuations, at the timeline of your business at which you raise money, but definitely raise money. I would tell you to do that. I started bootstrapped. Start bootstrapped if you have the capital. If you don't, then get some angel investors, friends and family to kind of put some money to give you that little boost, but don't sell it subscale. If you sell shares subscale, you will lose a large chunk of your business, and that's the way it is. But money markets are great. We're blessed to have great investors in our company, and I would recommend to one and all to go ahead through that route because it de-risks you to some extent, but obviously you'll have to give away equity, which is part of business. It's better to have it's better to have 25% of 100 million than to have 100% of 10 million.
True. So thank you so much, Zorawar, for joining us today. We really loved the conversation. I mean, it was an in-depth conversation. We touched upon your father's journey, your journey, and your kids also in between. Thank you so much for being a part of ETRetail Cafe.
Pleasure.
Thank you guys for watching it. I mean, I think you really enjoyed it, and we'll see you again next week with a new retailer, with a new story. Till then, bye-bye.